Hey team, today we are working on how to stretch and strengthen our lateral line with a stick mobility movement called the bow and arrow. We are going to start with the standard version, and for today's movements, you will need one long training stick. As we get set up, we want to make sure that our feet are hips width apart for the standard version. Our arm and the stick is directly to our side. So if you think about an analog clock where it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. The arm and stick are directly to the side. My right arm is holding the stick because it's on my right side currently. I want to make sure that that arm is at about a 90-degree angle. So I don't want the hand too high or too low. My free arm and hand, my left hand, is going to reach up and over the top. Also facing forward, I'm going to grab the stick, and then from here, I will actively push the stick down into the floor at about 30% tension. Moving on, I'm going to push my hips away from the stick for a passive stretch. As I get into the passive and for the active as well, I want to make sure that my legs stay as straight as possible, so I'm not bending at the knees, I'm not rotating at the hips, and I'm not letting my rib cage flare out and keeping the rib cage retracted. So continuing to push the stick down with my left hand, isometrically strengthening, I'm going to extend my arms out for an active stretch on my left side, but active strengthening on my right side. And I'm going to hold this position generally for 20 to 30 seconds. Smooth, deep breaths. Again, making sure that my legs stay straight, my hips stay square facing forward, and my rib cage stays retracted. When you're ready to come out, what you do is you release the tension from that bottom arm, takes the bend away from the stick, and I use both hands. I drive the stick into the floor to return back into the starting position. Generally, if we're going to do multiple reps, I'm going to just show you one at each side. What you would do is, see how you can see the sticker. I'm going to rotate the stick for each rep that I do. Generally, you want to do about 3. And what that does is it helps preserve the life of the stick by moving it and bending it in all different directions. So that's one of the pros of this movement is the stick flexes, it bends, it helps us get into deeper ranges of motion and deeper ranges of strengthening within that range of motion. So from the left side, just showing you from the side so you know what it looks like. I'll rotate it this way. So again, I get set up, feet are hips width apart. I push the stick down with my right hand. I push my hips away from the stick. I extend the arms away. And again, I don't want to flare the rib cage out. I don't want rotation of the hips. I don't want my legs bent. I want everything straight and square. Smooth, deep breaths. Again, I continue to actively drive that stick down with my right hand, my top hand, and I'm pushing away with both arms. And then I'm going to release the tension and then return to the starting position by driving in to the floor. To regress this movement, if that's too much for you, what you could do is I want to change the camera angle so that I have it on the wall. So I'm going to use my rig. And what I'll do is you put the stick at an angle about 2 feet away from the wall per se if you're using a wall. My foot, if I'm doing my left side, my foot is going to actively touch that stick. So it's not away from the stick, I'm actively pushing or touching the stick. And what I'll do is from here, I'm going to push my hips away and then I'm going to reach over the top and I'm going to push away with that bottom arm. And this is a regression from the standard version. Same thing, you'll hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. I'm kind of rushing through it for time purposes. So just from the backside as well, I push away, I reach over, and again, I'm still using that bend to help me strengthen on the short side and stretch on the long side. To progress this movement, so remember the standard version is outside of the foot. To progress the movement, you move inside the foot. Okay, so you're still keeping about hips width apart. What you don't want to do is have the stick touching or too close to the foot. Because what happens is as you press down, the bottom of the stick will bend over the foot. It's not going to feel great. So you want to have a couple inches away from that inside foot. Okay. So I'm holding again, close to what would be like a 90-degree angle. I'm going to take that top hand over. I'm pressing down 30% tension. I push the hips away, and this is going to be a deeper stretch. Again, it's a progression. And now, as you can see, this is a much larger stretch. Again, holding, smooth, deep breaths, keeping the legs as straight as possible, keeping the hips facing forward, and keeping the rib cage retracted. From here, I release the tension out of that bottom arm, and then I use the top arm to return back to the starting position. I'm going to switch sides, rotate the stick. Again, not too close to the foot, about 2 inches away from the inside of the foot. I'm going to take my right hand over the top. I'm going to actively press down into the floor, 30% tension. I'm going to push my hips away from the stick, keeping my legs straight, keeping my rib cage retracted, keeping my hips facing forward. So no bend in the knees, no rotation of the hips, no flaring of the rib cage. And then I'm going to extend my arms to get that stretch out of the right side of my body, but the strengthening on the short side, the left side of my body. Smooth, deep breaths. Again, I'm holding this position for about 20 to 30 seconds generally. Once I get to that time frame, I will slowly release the tension from my left arm to take the bend out of the stick. And then I use both hands, driving them into the floor to help me return back into the starting position. Thank you for watching all the way through. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.